Today we're going to say we're reacting um and we're going to react to his story because I just found it because I heard a lot of YouTubers do this. There you go. So after his story, look at this. Okay, let's get to his shorts. There we go. This is let's start.
On a class trip to the aquarium, a sea lion did a little dance for my bread, so I happily tossed a piece into its mouth. But then I looked up and saw the sign, "No feeding the animals, $10,000 fine or jail." I shrieked in horror, because I just love animals more than anything. Then my teacher pointed at the sign. "Whatever you do, do not feed them." The supervisor said one taste, and they'll go into a frenzy and start violently attacking each other. I slowly looked back at the sea lion, and it was doing exactly what she said, thrashing against the glass and screeching for more. But I couldn't tell anyone what I did, or else I'd be behind bars. So I tried to shoo the sea lion away from the glass so it wouldn't get me in trouble. But the kids behind me snatched the bread right out of my hands, aiming for the otters. I screamed at them to stop, but they'd already chucked it into the otter, penguin, and sea lion enclosures. My heart sank as all the animals exploded into a frenzy, thrashing over each other. The entire restaurant sang happy birthday to me when it wasn't my birthday. 5 minutes earlier, I'd left the house for the first time in 2 months because of my social anxiety, and told my prankster friend not to do anything to draw attention. He smiled and walked away from our table. Then 5 minutes later, 20 workers were singing happy birthday while a robot shot confetti at my head. My whole body was frozen over as the whole restaurant looked at me, my legs trembling under the table as my friend grinned. Then the song ended, and I thought it was finally over, until a worker reached out his hand. "By the way, I need your ID, just to make sure it's actually your birthday, and you're not just scamming the restaurant." My face instantly went red, and I felt my heart rate go so fast I started hyperventilating. I was about to have a panic attack as the worker coughed, "ID please," but my friend had already noticed. He leaned over and whispered, "Leave while I distract them." He jumped on our table before I could react and started singing happy birthday, jumping between free tables to get their attention. Every worker instantly turned to him, pulling him to get down as he glanced at me, mouthing, "Go." I quickly got up and crept out, still hyperventilating once outside. He ran out after me. "Did you have fun?" The entire restaurant sang happy birthday to me my older brother measured me for the 6th time that day and screamed, "4 inches? You grew 4 inches?" I stared down at him and he glared, "Stop that. No little brother of mine will ever look down on me. We're fixing this before it's too late." I wondered what he meant, because there was no way to make someone shorter, right? But the next day, he kicked my door open, waving a printout of a compression machine. Good news. I found a chiropractor who compresses people for a living. He went up on his toes. "You're booked for Saturday. After that, I'm the tall one." My stomach dropped, but then it hit me. I couldn't stop the appointment, but I could outgrow the machine. So I ran to the kitchen and started eating. I ate 4 stacks of pancakes, 2 boxes of leftover lasagna, and 3 whole jars of peanut butter, dropping the empties wherever I stood. He walked in on the 3rd jar, and I froze with the spoon in my mouth, but he patted my shoulder. "Good. Enjoy your last meal as the tall one." On Saturday, I squeezed through the clinic door sideways and jammed halfway into the machine. The chiropractor pulled me free and wiped his forehead. "I can't compress this. He's at full capacity." My brother slammed the printout on the counter. "So squeeze him harder." The chiropractor shook his head. "If I compress him right now, everything inside him will blast out of every hole." My brother crossed his arms. "So what? I'll take that risk." I went white, but thankfully the chiropractor didn't move. But then my brother yanked me out the door. "Fine, I'll do it myself." When we got home, my brother grabbed a hammer. "If a professional won't fix you, then I'll just break your legs instead." He chased me around screaming, "Get back here! You need to be fixed!" I sprinted into the kitchen, but his foot came down on one of the empty peanut butter jars I'd left on the floor and shot out from under him. He hit the tiles hard and curled up, clutching his ankle and howling. That's when our neighbor came running through the back door. I heard screaming. "Is he all right?" I answered calmly. "He slipped, but he's fine. He's my older brother." The neighbor's head snapped back and forth between us. "He's the older one, but he's so small." My brother howled and lunged at him, so I hooked an arm around his waist and lifted him clean off the ground. He swung at the air like a toddler while I looked down on him from above. My older brother measured me for the 6th.
Saunas are overrated.
Disagree. Agree!
Yeah.
We were eating dinner when my girlfriend Mallory pulled a puppet out of a shopping bag and set him in the chair across from me. This is Gary. He's going to help us communicate better. I raised an eyebrow. Communicate better how? She slid her hand into Gary's back and made him talk. You don't listen to Mallory when she talks, so maybe you'll listen to me. I set down my fork. Mallory, I can see your lips moving. She shook her head. No, that was Gary talking. I kept my mouth shut because I loved her enough to give this a real shot, but I had no idea how far she was going to take it. That weekend, my buddy Dave came over to watch the game, and Mallory propped Gary on the arm of the couch as soon as he sat down. Gary leaned toward him, and she made him talk. He's a man, but he still sleeps with a nightlight. Isn't that stupid? Dave burst out laughing so hard, he nearly spilled his beer. My face went hot, because the idea of Dave telling our friends about this made me want to glitch through the floor. The doctor pointed at my daughter's hospital room with tears in his eyes. The treatment failed. Your 9-year-old has a week left to live. Maybe less. I'm sorry. I wiped my face, walked back in, and knelt next to Kaya and put down the Barbie doll she was playing with. Baby, the doctor just told me you beat the cancer. You're in remission. The treatment was successful. I did my best to seem happy. She'd spent 2 years in a hospital, and she wasn't spending her last week alive hopeless in it too. She shot up so fast her IV pole rattled. Then can we celebrate? Can we go to Disneyland? Please, please, please. I was already reaching for her shoes. Let's go for a full week. This is going to be the best week of your life. I promise. As soon as we arrived, she spotted Tiana by the castle and dragged me so hard I almost fell. She wrapped both arms around her waist. You're the princess who got me through all my chemo treatments over the last 2 years. I watched Princess and the Frog a bajillion times, and guess what? I'm cancer-free. Tiana pressed a hand to her heart and pulled her in. Well then, this moment ought to be documented. A cast member snapped a photo of them mid-laugh. It printed instantly, and Kaya sprinted back waving it. Daddy, look, I'm gonna keep this forever. I smiled wide enough to hide the ache spreading through my chest. The sun was setting, and Tiana pointed towards the Disney parade. They have one at the end of every day. Y'all can't miss it. Kaya climbed onto my shoulders and stretched both arms out like an airplane while I ran side to side. When we got there, fireworks burst over the castle. But when I looked down, Kaya was doubled over, coughing at full force. When she pulled her hands away from her mouth, they were red. Daddy, why is there blood? I took a deep breath, ready to tell her another lie. But the next cough was so aggressive she fell to the floor. I scooped her up and ran for the gates, screaming for help while the fireworks kept going behind us. In the ambulance, she never let go of the photo. We were in the hospital when the doctor said the words I'll never forget. She's gone. I'm so sorry. Tears streamed down my face. I promised her the best week of her life. She got 9 hours, but she spent every one of them at... I woke up to my little brother standing over me in ski goggles and oven mitts, aiming his toy bow at my face. Get up. The wasp monster found our base. He dragged me downstairs while I told him he was crazy. I snuck into an art museum with my own painting hidden behind my back, along with $1 million price tag in my hand. An expert was lecturing a crowd. Only a trained eye can recognize true art, while pointing at a banana taped to the wall. I nodded and smiled, because this is exactly why I came here. I was broke, so if a banana was art, my painting of a coffee stain was about to make me rich. I stood near an empty wall, and the second the security guard turned away, I slapped my painting on the wall, stuck the price tag under it, and slid back into the crowd. My heart was racing so fast I had to pat my chest to calm down. A rich collector spotted the new painting, so he pushed everyone out of the way and planted himself in front of my painting. His eyes went wide, and he waved the expert from earlier. The crowd followed, and the collector pointed at the painting with a smile. This is exquisite. The craftsmanship must be from the 1800s. I rubbed my hands together and began imagining how I was going to spend the $1 million. But then I saw my signature was smudged, and I froze, because without my name, nobody could prove it was mine. So I immediately slid over to fix it. I touched the smudge with my finger, but the expert instantly snatched my wrist. Do not touch the art. Get this idiot out of here. I went pale and tried to pull my hand back, but the guard was already lifting me off my feet. Wait, that's my painting. I was just fixing it. He shook his head, laughed, and started carrying me away. That's when the collector asked who painted it, and the expert straightened his tie. It's me. I painted this. His trained eye had recognized the true art, and he had stolen my idea of getting rich. No! I saw the collector hand over $1 million check to that expert, and my hands started shaking. But the guard just carried me past the banana, so I ripped it off the wall and took a bite. I snuck into an art museum.
Okay.
I made my wife cry on Christmas morning. On Christmas morning, I unwrapped a cologne from my wife, and when I smelled it, I had to turn around. It reminded me of a wood cabin infested with mold and filled to the brim with cow dung. But when I turned the bottle, I knew it cost at least $800. So I turned back around, plastered on a...
Pause. This is very, I like it. It's very cool. But let's continue.
My science teacher dropped my test on. I made my wife cry on Christmas morning. On Christmas morning, I unwrapped a cologne from my wife, and when I smelled it, I had to turn around. It reminded me of a wood cabin infested with mold and filled to the brim with cow dung. But when I turned the bottle, I knew it cost at least $800. So I turned back around, plastered on a Hollywood white smile, and said, "You know me too well." From there, I sprayed myself every single morning until I finished it just to get her money's worth, just waiting for the nightmare to end. But when Christmas came around again, she handed it to me. Same stupid box, same stupid cologne. I forced a smile that was just as big as the first one. She wrapped her arms around me. "I knew you would love it." I sighed, and the next morning, I walked out of the bathroom. My science teacher dropped my test on my desk with a giant red
Two
F
more,
at the top,
guys,
and my
two more.
eyes shot
Two more.
wide because every answer on the page was correct. I raised my hand and asked why I got an F when I got everything right. Ms. Briers spun around so fast I thought she'd give herself whiplash. "Because you're lazy. You've skipped my class all year, and now you think a few right answers earns you a pass." I stood up and told her that's exactly what I think. I aced it because I actually love science, not because I sat in her room. She crossed the room in 2 steps and got right in my face. She grabbed the pen and wrote a giant F in her notebook so hard the page nearly ripped. "We got new microscopes in 2 weeks ago. You were never here and somehow knew everything about them. That's cheating, and I'll report you for it." I clenched my fists so hard the test crumpled in my hand. "This is bullcrap. Every answer is right. I'm taking this to the principal." I stormed out, and she grabbed her gradebook and followed me the whole way. In the principal's office, I slammed the crumpled test on his desk and told him every answer was correct, and she'd failed me anyway. Ms. Briers cut in before I finished. "He skipped my class all year. He doesn't deserve to pass." The principal smoothed the test flat and ran his eyes down it, his brow tightening. "But these answers are all correct. Why did you fail him?" The color drained from her face. "Because he skips my class. He can't just skip my class and pass." The principal set the test down and turned to her. "Do you know why he skips your class?" She opened her mouth, but nothing came out, so I said it for her. Every afternoon, while her class was running, I was working at the nearby grocery store, and every paycheck went straight to the science department because the school couldn't afford science equipment. The principal nodded because he already knew. I turned to Ms. Briers. "I knew everything about those new microscopes because I'm the one who bought them. I love science, so I'll skip your class every time if that means getting the equipment for me and my classmates." Her hands shook as she mumbled an apology, then opened her gradebook, crossed out my F, and wrote an A. My science teacher dropped my test on my desk with a giant red F at the top, and my eyes shot wide because every answer on the page was correct.
"With a spongy little body, it's a cakey soup. It's even been proved."
I was downstairs pulling their sleepover popcorn out of the
This is the
microwave
last
when
one,
my
guys.
daughter screamed from her bedroom, "I'm going to pour fire all over it." Then her best friend Emma shrieked, "No, please don't burn the house down." And my whole body went cold. I didn't know what was happening up there, but whatever it wasn't good. So I dropped the popcorn bag and ran up the stairs 3 steps at a time, screaming my daughter's name. I pressed my ear to her door, and my gut tightened because my daughter's voice was ice cold. "You can't stop me, Emma." Then Emma said, "Please, I'm begging you." I pounded on their door with both fists. "Girls, open this door right now. Don't come in, Dad. We're doing something." I grabbed the handle, but it was locked, and then she said, "Now I'm lighting the fire." Emma screamed again, this time saying something even worse. "It's spreading. It's spreading so fast." I pressed my nose to the door hunting for smoke and found nothing, but Emma sounded like the room was already gone, and I could hear my daughter cackling like a maniac. So I flew to the garage, ripped the fire extinguisher off the wall, and screamed, "Nobody move, I'm coming." I ran up the stairs, kicked the door open, and yelled, "Get down." I unloaded the extinguisher and blasted foam across the ceiling, the bed, and onto both shrieking girls, covering the entire room with foam. But then I froze, because there was no fire and no smoke, just the laptop on the bed. And on its screen, a giant Minecraft mansion was burning to the ground while my daughter's avatar circled it with flint and steel. My legs gave out, and I sat down right on the foamy bed. "Honey, did you just burn someone's house down?" She wiped foam off her face. "Yeah, Emma stole my diamonds, so I poured lava on her mansion." Emma was on the side, sobbing into a pillow. Turns out, there never was any fire, except in Minecraft. My daughter looked at my empty hands. "Dad, where's the popcorn?" I said. "Popcorn's downstairs," and walked back down with the fire extinguisher. I was downstairs I volunteered to get dunked at the school fair when my bully cut to the front with a big carnival mallet, walking straight to the target. He's been public enemy since kindergarten, so I screamed, "You're cheating, stop!" But he raised it high anyway. "Dunk if your dad's in jail." Whack! I plunged into the freezing water as the whole school clapped. "Dunk if your mom left to get milk and nobody loves you." Whack! I hit the water again, fuming with anger. Then he held the target down, laughing, so I'd stay underwater to torture me. This is my favorite game, and I'm not going anywhere. I held my breath death humiliated because everything he said was true, but he was about to regret every word. He finally stopped, and I gripped the belt across my lap to take it off. Don't talk about my dad, but the mallet came back down. Whack, and I crashed underwater before I could escape. 10 times I tried to speak, and 10 times he dropped me, until I finally stopped, defeated, letting his words get to me. But when I lifted my eyes to the crowd, I froze, because I saw a familiar face, and I couldn't help but smile. So I looked my bully dead in the eyes. What did you say about my dad? Say it louder. He grinned and leaned into the target. I said your daddy's a dirty criminal who's rotting in there. He dropped the mallet one more time, and I smiled, because he had no idea what was coming. He held it down as my lungs burned, but through the rippling water, I saw a huge man walking straight toward him, and bubbles left my mouth as I laughed. A huge bald man with tattoos up his neck grabbed my bully's shoulder. What did you say about me, huh? The bully spun around. Nobody's talking about you, fatty. Get lost. But I finally came up, gasping for air. That's my dad, you idiot. His face went white as he clocked the jail uniform. My dad had gotten out that morning to surprise me and walked right into my bully. You spent all day running your mouth about me being locked up. Now let me show you what I learned in there. My bully shrieked as my dad picked him up with one hand, and RK owed him into the tank so hard the water exploded everywhere, emptying it. Quickly, my dad strapped my bully onto the seat and handed me the mallet. I smiled. Dunk if you're mad my dad came and yours never did. Whack. And with no water left, he slammed onto the tank floor, and my dad pulled me in and told me he loved me. I volunteered to get...
Okay, that's it. Thank you guys for watching this video. Hit that like and subscribe button, and see ya. Bye. Peace. Subscribe.